Thank you for your patience. Giving just a moment for folks to get in and then we'll get started. It looks like folks have gotten in. So I now call this meeting of the South Whidbey School Board to order. This is a business meeting. We'll go immediately to the land acknowledgement. Director Jackson.
Thank you. We are on colonized land. This land is the ancestral and current home of the Snohomish people who have lived here for uncountable generations, tending the space, these waters, being in community with the living and inanimate life around us, caring for the relationships with human and other than human brothers and sisters, friends and family. We acknowledge the role of the Coast Salish peoples, the Suquamish, Stillaguamish, Snohomish, Lower Skagit, the many tribes that make up the Coast Salish peoples and their tie to the Salish Sea and its surrounding lands. And we acknowledge the speakers of the Lushootseed language and family of languages who named many of the places that we call home on this island now known as Chakolchi. We acknowledge the tribal rights, the treaty rights that were granted in 1855 through the signing of the Treaty of Point Elliott in Mukilteo. And we thank all people for their connection to the ancestral stories of this land and what we can learn from them today. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Jackson. As this is a business meeting, if you would like to participate in public comment, please talk to Ms. Macaro in the back. There will be a period where anyone present will have up to 5 minutes if they would like to address the board on a topic that speaks to them. This is addressing the board. There will usually not be a direct response because this is not the time to get into a back and forth discussion. Those are what our board workshops are for. Are there any objections to approving the agenda and minutes as presented? Hearing none, the agenda and minutes are approved as presented. Are there any objections to approving the consent agenda as presented? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved as presented. Particular notice to South Whidbey High School Jazz Band taking a trip to the Clark College Jazz Festival. Always a treat to see them go and bring home some glory and have a great time. And appreciation of a cash gift from Diane O'Brien for the South Whidbey High School Woodshop. We'll now move on to recognitions. School Board Appreciation Month. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Field briefly to introduce that.
I have our representation from the teachers union here to talk to the board about their appreciation. There's been certificates provided on your guys' desk there. Yeah, we're ready. Come on forward. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, we want to acknowledge all of you and thank you so much for the time that you volunteer to do this work on behalf of the students of South Whidbey. So is Chrissy, are you on? Okay. So this is one of the most fun things we get to do. As librarians, we love to match people to good books. And the very first book we have is for Brooke. I did a little behind the scenes intel and talked to Hazel about what you guys were reading. This is really fun because Cornelia Funke was an author I discovered years and years ago, and she only recently came back and wrote sequels to the original Dragon Rider. So it's really fun to see that a new generation is discovering her. Glad you two are enjoying that.
Book 2 is our bedtime reading book.
I know, this is book 3.
And it's amazing. Yes. And it's amazingly fun for me as well to have these. So thank you very much for getting that in the school library so that students can enjoy it.
Yeah, you have to give it back. So, oh, is this Carter? Okay. So, Carter, we chose for you coming up upon Black History Month and just celebrating MLK. This series is called Ordinary People Change the World. And we feel like you are a person that is already doing that. And so Jackie Robinson was definitely a trailblazer, and we think that you are too. So this is the one that we chose to honor you.
Thank you. Oh, this is really cool. Thank you.
This book is kind of one that really fits this whole board. What we love about this book, we picked this book for Marnie because Marnie is so conscious of the environment, but really you all are. And the fact that she loves animals, it just felt like the perfect fit. But also the fact that it's called 50 Simple Things That You Can Do to for our planet. And it's got like a call to action and things that people can practically do. And we know that you guys are all about that. So this is our book for Marnie.
And just for everyone out there who might be listening or is in the audience, Val and I really enjoy going and shopping for these books and embodying your spirit as much as we can. So we just want you to know that it really is kind of inspiring to get to have this opportunity to recognize you for some of the things that go unappreciated maybe at times. And this is just something personal that makes you understand and know how much we do really care and value having such a wonderful board. So please know that we take that in spirit as we go to find these books. I'm going to let you hold.
Yeah, this is the book that didn't show up yet. So Joe, this book is to honor you. It's a really sweet story of a little boy and his grandfather. They have this ritual of getting bagels every Saturday and then taking them throughout the neighborhood. And one day, Grandpa falls on his tuchus, and it's got a whole glossary in the back. And he can't go. So the little boy tries to figure out how he can carry on the tradition for the couple of weeks that Grandpa's laid up. And he goes about and discovers a lot of diversity in his neighborhood. So when that comes, I'll let you see it. It's a real sweet story.
Thank you. I'm verklempt. Representation matters.
So, Andrea, we chose a graphic novel called Primates. This book is in honor of three of the most amazing scientists in the 20th century, Jane Goodall, Diane Fossey, and Beirut Galdakis. I'll make an attempt at that. Anyway, it's basically about the importance of understanding primates and the relationships that develop within a primate society and how much they contributed to us understanding ourselves. So we think that obviously you're great at communication and relationships, and we thought of you very deeply on that one. Yes. Let's have a hand for all the favorite primates. And of course, the graphic novels are always a big draw in our library for students. The next one was chosen for you, Callahan. We are always looking for opportunities to break down walls and provide accessibility. And this is To Kill a Mockingbird in graphic novel form. So students who are looking for classic literature, but perhaps accessibility wise, it's not quite within their reach. Our graphic novels really provide that for our upper level students. And it's an area that has really exploded. So we're trying to support that as much as possible, and our students love them. So Callahan, in honor of you and your groundbreaking trail that you blazed for us as a student representative, we thank you so much. All right. And then Anne, for you, we have a middle school book that focuses in on relationships. And I don't think there's anything more important than peer relationships at the middle school level. It is really the social emotional piece that provides many of the challenges. So learning about yourself, making friends, losing friends, finding ways to go through that and navigate that age is a challenge not only for students, but also for families. And we do the best we can to help along the way. And this book, By Forever, I guess, I believe, says it all. And you yourself are somebody who's so great for our students. And I just so appreciated all of your involvement on the day that we had the interviews with the middle school students. I was so impressed with them. And thank you so much for being there, experiencing that. It was really a very special day. And thank you, Ms. Phillips, too, for allowing us to participate. And I know the high school, Mr. Patton, they all had their experience as well. But just again, as a faculty member, getting to experience that and seeing your faces and how our students really represented us so well, it was a proud moment. So I was glad to share that with you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
That the experience of being
Meeting over.
yeah.
No, kidding.
The experience of being there in the schools was fantastic with the candidates. So thank you everyone for setting that up. We will move on next to our student board members report. Callahan and Carter. Sorry,
Okay.
Representative Dobmeyer and Representative McKnight.
Okay, so first up, at the high school math Olympiads, the Nerdy Birdie had a team member place 4th overall in the competition last Wednesday out of 56 students, and first for freshmen. That's really exciting. Spanish Club is hosting a bake sale tomorrow and Friday to raise money for a student in Guatemala. Wrestling had their senior night celebrating 3 graduating seniors. It was really well attended in the new gym. There are a lot of basketball games also being held in the new gym. So people are loving having that space again. And also there's the gym grand reopening on the 24th, which is really exciting. Merch will be sold at the game. It's blue and white, so should show up.
Okay, carrying on the high school, students are wrapping up the semester and there's a lot of finals. We had a really massive success with the student forum for the superintendent search. We had really good turnout with students who were really engaged with the topics, and there's a lot of good conversation and feedback on all sorts of things on what we'd like to see in a superintendent and just change in the school district in general, which was really valuable. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think it was really great to be able to gather input from students before making a decision.
And students are very excited with our choice, for sure. The semester ends soon. I would mention, sorry, lots of finals. The voting for the prom theme has taken place this week, with the 2 themes, Rolling Down the Bayou, going up against Take Me to Rio. And now moving on to the middle school. The middle school is connecting MLK's Words of Kindness to their Words of Kindness with Random Acts of Kindness Month this month in February. Students will have a variety of opportunities to engage in kindness challenges to have a positive impact on our school community. The Southfield Middle School is also hosting a Dress Your Best Winter Wonderland dance on February 7th. It's free to get in, and there's going to be a DJ, refreshments, and hopefully lots of fun. Already Math and ELA Window 2 is happening right now, lots of testing. Students and teachers review their data to make plans so they can talk to the students and plan that with the students and create goals too. Random Acts of Kindness Month will culminate in an assembly for bullying prevention, led by our students too.
And then at the elementary school, their food drive to benefit Good Cheer is kicking off this Friday and will run for 2 weeks. And that's engaging and honoring Dr. King. They were also holding their MLK assembly this Friday. And it's at 9 if families or school board members want to attend. February is Random Acts of Kindness Month, and students will engage in a wide variety of projects to help spread kindness, including a pet food drive for WAIF. Coffee with the Principal is this Friday. And then the annual Read Your Heart Out project is on February 13th, where families are invited to come to school and read together in the halls with their favorite stuffies and blankets.
I have a question. We had discussed the need for Nerdy Birdie merch. Has there been any headway on that?
Well, the advisor for Nerdy Birdies is here. So
We would love merch, specifically all the things, and cups the size of Director Johnson's mug. Nerdy Birdies, we will represent. Yes, we will buy it. Like, I know so many people in the community who want to buy Nerdy Birdie merch. I'm picturing a falcon with very big glasses. Glasses.
Maybe a pocket protector coming out of the
And a
wing.
pocket protector with a calculator in its wing. Like, oh, I can't draw.
Or-
Okay, Anne and I will get together and send ideas. We will send merch ideas.
Yes.
Okay, yes. We will buy all of it. All of it.
I will email you.
I really love that the students are helping to run some of those assemblies, particularly the ones that have such strong impact on students, like the anti-bullying efforts. So I really appreciate our administrators for being open and welcoming to that sort of leadership from the students. Thank you. Any other questions for the students?
No questions, but I just wanted to thank the two of you for all the leadership during the search process, and especially the forum. The questions were really amazing. It was great to see like what the students came up with that they were interested in hearing from the candidates. And good luck in finals next week.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to public comment. Ms. Macaro, who's first? Okay.
Lori Johnson with the South Bay Cares Coalition. And just at the last minute, well, first of all, thank you all for the work that you do and the care that you take for our students. At the last minute, I was reviewing the agenda and found policy 3424, which is further down on the agenda today regarding the opioid overdose reversal policy. And I just had a couple of thoughts about that. First, thank you for including the ability for youth to carry without consequence. That's really important. Secondly, the minimum is stated on here by the RCW that just includes only one overdose reversal kit per one high school. And I believe that our school is doing better than that. And so I think it should be included in the policy that it's on buses, it's in first aid kits, it's included in field trip and extended student activities. And the naloxone is no longer required by prescription, so consider that language in the policy. It's open and available to anyone. It's available through the public health department, which I believe also helps supply the district. So considering that, and then there's some language that states, however, such self-caring individuals, well, it's individuals who've been directly prescribed opioid overdose reversal medication, which no one is prescribed, according to RCW 69.41.095, lawfully possess and administer opioid overdose reversal medication based on their personal prescription. However, such self-caring individuals and those who obtain opioid overdose reversal medication over the counter must show proof of training as verified by a licensed registered professional nurse employed or contracted by the district, or participate in district training as specified in the accompanying procedure. The next states that students can carry and parents and community members can also administer Narcan on its school events and what have you. And I'm concerned about the proof of training being a barrier to access, as well as, I'm assuming that some of you have been trained to use naloxone. Did you get a card that you stick in your wallet that says, I'm trained to use this? It doesn't exist. So I would just encourage removing that from the language. And just one last thing. I would invite the board and the district to include prevention specialists and the people that are working in the district for substance use prevention to be included in review of the policies to help keep things up to date and with best practices in prevention. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those details with us.
Good evening. I'm Carl Cheney. I live in Freeland. I am a member of the Fair Association and a vendor at the fair. After attending city council meeting about 3 weeks ago, it prompted me to come here with some concerns. You know, the port wants to build housing on the fairgrounds and possibly on the school. When they did their first designs and presented them to the public, I kept asking them why they do drawings of something that didn't meet code. They kept saying they were just conceptual drawings. Then I found out Greg Easton, who is the president of the the Port Commissioners, is also the chair of Langley's Planning Advisory Board. And he has been making recommendations through the planning department to make the code look like their drawings, and which includes 45 houses on school property. When they changed the zoning to P1, they can build anywhere on the fairgrounds and anywhere on school property according to the zoning. If you've been to the fair, the concession stands are 23 feet wide and the midway is about 60 feet. Even if the property line's not disputed, they move the building back 12 feet for the setback. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments will be about 40 feet wide plus a 10-foot deck. They'll take our midway completely away. If the school board grants them permission to build across Dalton, they will take all of our parking. We will lose the parking for the vendors, for the fairgoers, for the amusement company. I know that whatever nonprofit group, I assume that money goes to education or something with the children since it's on school property. They will destroy the fair if they take our midway and if they take the parking from us. I know that when they came here, before I was at the meeting, when the board was here, and they talked about maybe they could set aside some of those housing for school employees. When they were first talking about workforce housing, I asked them, are they going to guarantee us that those people will work in our communities to help us here? And they said, no, that would be illegal. And it would be illegal to set aside apartments for your staff. It would just not happen. So I'm asking you guys, if you intend not to allow them to build, would you please send formal letters to the port, to the city of Langley, and the county commissioners, because they're spending tax dollars to do these studies. And if you're not going to allow them to build, then that money could go somewhere else. Give us some safer roads. As I listen to these 2 students over here talk, maybe they could fund public speaking classes so these guys could teach to speak as well as they do to the other students. Anyway, I don't think that the housing on the fairgrounds will be any good for anybody, and so, or the school. And I know that out of 446 houses that Langley intends to build in the next 20 years under their comprehensive plan, they plan to put 45 of them is their number that they said at the meeting the other night or 3 weeks ago on your school property somewhere. And you will have no control over who lives in those houses. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much. And I know you all have a tough job. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing your perspective on those events.
Good evening. The legislature's in session. So I hope that you will keep us posted about what you're lobbying for or against and putting it on the record so we know where you've been. Thank you.
I'm just here to say a few words about the South Woodbury Schools Foundation and what we do and how we do it and so on. I know probably you guys, most of you know a lot about it, but there are other people who are online, and it's a chance for me to say hi anyway. I didn't realize Callahan was going to talk about the Nerdy Birdies, but Callahan was a Nerdy Birdie as well. She's still on the email list. That's why she knows about it. And it was nice having her on the team. Her schedule keeps her from coming that often, but still. Anyway, that's that. I wanted to say that having students on the board is really important. The school foundation has Kaiku Alexander. I don't know if you guys know her, but anyway, she's on the board and always has, good insights and gets a chance to present like you did every meeting, and also to, chime in on different issues that we have on Slack and so on. Yeah, South Woodbury Schools Foundation, that's why I'm here. Oh, I forgot my books, so sorry. So the South Woodbury Schools Foundation, basically what we do is we raise money through our gala. It's the main source. We also get contributions from companies and individuals and so on. Every year, recent years, we've been giving away over $60,000 in grants to teachers. So basically the way it works is it's an online form. Any teacher can fill it out and send in an application. They just have to be clear about how it helps the kids, what's the purpose of it and how much it's going to cost and who's involved and what grades and so on. We encourage, every chance I get, I try to encourage teachers to apply. They're they're incredibly busy. So even if they have a good idea, it's hard to push them over to filling out a form, even though it's only 3 pages. It doesn't take long. Our gala is April 26th. Come to the gala. Come to the gala. It's fun. What else? Oh, Shelley Ackerman is actually the president. She couldn't be here today, but I think she's been here in front of the board other times. I'm the vice president only because Shelley knows how to get work done. And I do relatively little in that sense. I think that's it. If you guys have any questions about School Foundation, just send me or Shelley an email. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Moma, for talking about the foundation, and thank you, Mr. Rose, for your question earlier. And that appears to be everyone on the list. I'm checking Zoom right now to see if anyone has requested to comment on there, and I do not see anything. So we will move on to new business. Our first item of new business is Memorandum 2425-16, approval of the update to South Woodbury School District Policy 3414, infectious diseases. This is one of the ones that we discussed in workshop 2 weeks ago, even if our brains were completely filled with superintendent discussions between now and then. Are there any comments or questions on this? Could we have advisory votes from our 2 students?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, representatives. All those in favor of approving Memorandum 2425-16, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has passed. Memorandum 2425-17, approval of the update to South Woodbury School District Policy 3420, anaphylaxis prevention and response. This is another one that we discussed 2 weeks ago. Any comments or questions on that one?
I just really want to thank Emmy for coming and doing all the work with us to just speak to these issues and educate us and educate the folks in the room about what it is we're looking at here when we're looking at these essential policies.
Agreed. Okay, student representatives, your advisory vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving Memorandum 2425-17, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has been approved. Memorandum 2425-18, approval of the update to South Whitby School District Policy 3424, opioid-related overdose reversal. Any comments or discussion we had on this, particularly considering the public comment that we got earlier?
So Brooke, I would ask that we make a motion to remove this from approving. And I would ask that Lori, if you could summarize what you found in it, I would love to forward it to Nurse Atwood and invite her to work with you on considering the pieces that you added.
Trying to remember exactly the term for
I think I
that,
have to make a motion to remove this from the agenda.
or to postpone it until our
postpone it.
next workshop.
Okay, so I make a motion to postpone memorandum 2425-18 until our next workshop so that we have time to take in consideration the public comment.
I'll second that.
Any comments or discussion on the motion to postpone?
My only question, I agree with everything you say. We should most definitely incorporate the feedback we heard during public comment. My only question is, should we vote to approve these changes and then revisit again in the interest of making some forward motion towards the ideal policy? Or should we do as Director Downs has suggested and revisit the entire thing all at once?
We have a policy in place, and so it's not an essential policy to update, so we do have time.
Good point.
Okay, student representatives, your advisory votes on the motion to postpone.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion to postpone this policy, memorandum 2425-18 until next workshop, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has been postponed. We'll revisit it at our next workshop. Thank you very much for bringing up those key issues with it so we can address them in a timely manner.
And not hoping to open a dialogue, but can Lori reach out to Nurse Atwood? Okay, thank you.
Next up, memorandum 2425-19, approval of the update to South Whitby School District Policy 5005, employment and volunteers, disclosures, certification requirements, assurances, and approval. Any discussion or comment on this item? Okay. Hearing none. Student representatives, do we have, could I have your advisory votes, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2425-19, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has been approved. Memorandum 2425-20, approval of the update to South Whitby School District Policy 5011, sexual harassment prohibited. This is one that we look at every year, and we did have some minor tweaks this year, including some suggested by Director Greenherron for clearer terminology in a couple of locations. Any discussion or questions? Student representatives, could we have your advisory votes, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2425-20, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has passed. Our final item of new business for the evening, memorandum 2425-21, approval of the update to South Whitby School District Policy 3205, sexual harassment prohibited. For those following along behind, one of these is for students and one of these is for staff. Similar changes to this one that we discussed at our last workshop. Any additional questions, comments, or debate? Student representatives, could I have your advisory vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2425-21, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has passed. That concludes our new business for the evening. We'll move on to our reports, beginning with financial and enrollment report and policy 6213, report on reimbursements for travel expenses. Mr. Field.
Perfect. Thank you. So the updated policy 6213 is the cost per mile reimbursement is going up to 70 cents. And that's per the IRS notice 25-5. That's just for district travel using your personal vehicle. So pretty straightforward. It's up 3 cents from last year. Jumping into our normal report here, our enrollment's still holding above budget. Those kids that we saw at the beginning of September are still sticking around. That's great news for us. We're only under budget on transition to kindergarten, and this is the year-to-date average, so it does keep creeping up. But right now, it's the only program that's under. We have a few more special ed students, a few more vocational high school students, and our transition bilingual multi-language is up slightly as well.
Is there a wait list for the transition to kindergarten class?
I would need to ask.
Richards?
Yeah,
No? Okay.
I know.
March is when we were told that we should hear something.
Okay. And I know that the funding for that is in the hands of the legislature right now also. So thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we were fulfilling the need as it stands in our community, and it sounds like we are. Thank you.
So we're the green line on the chart here. And again, just bumping along. Last year's the red dotted line. The blue flat line on the bottom is budget. So we're above budget and above last year. It's a positive outlook. As far as we can tell, the students that we gain are mostly students from that already were in South Whidbey, just not attending South Whidbey School District. So it'll be interesting to see as we start jumping into budget season, what we're going to see as far as budgeting for enrollment next year, weighting those students that have come to South Whidbey.
And Paul, I know it sounds a little counterintuitive to the community, but we want to be over budget.
Correct. So we'll see in January our apportionment figure increase because we'll get the update for our enrollment. So I'll be able to report back in more detail what that increase looks like as it comes through on the apportionment report in January, which we should get in a couple days. And so this is year over year by month. Again, we're the dark green line and the red line's prior year, so we're up every month. This is the by grade. So you can see where we've gained the kids. If you look at the numbers on the bottom, the current year's the top. So if you work diagonally, so for first grade to second grade, 74 students to 81, you can anticipate we got roughly 6 kids in that first to second grade range. So if you follow that through, you can see it's right there in the meaty middle between second and sixth grade where we picked up most of our students. So it's just a trend for us to keep an eye on. Again, especially when we start budgeting for next year, enrollment drives all of our funding and weighting those kids in the mix as it's going to skew our annual historical average, which has been a decline across nearly all grades. So it'll be interesting this year as we get into that. Now into our financial report. 33% through the year. Total expenditures about 33.5%. So kind of right on line on our expenditure curve. Revenues laying right on top of prior year. So that is on track. Our expenditures have jumped up out of the norm, and we'll get to that here in the next couple slides. So with encumbrances, our payroll cost is 100.62%. So it's slightly over budget. I'll dive into that more next month. The timing of our encumbrance system and our expenditure system sometimes gets a little out of alignment. So I need to look at that more closely. And we have technology staff that actually get charged to the levy, but their expenses get captured in the general fund. Those expenses haven't been moved out. Typically we do it monthly. I just haven't gotten to doing that. So that's going to affect it too. So I don't have a nails reason why payroll's over on encumbrance. I know we have added some staff with the additional students, but I'll have a more clear answer to that next month as I get into it in more detail.
And my understanding is, assuming that we get a higher apportionment starting in January, that number would go down even if nothing moved around, just because we'd have more money coming in.
This is expenditures only. So our revenue budget will jump. We'll get higher revenue than our.
Got it.
I would expect our revenue line to increase because we'll get caught up from September to January based on that new number. So I believe our revenue line is going to come above the historical average because of that increase in enrollment.
Right.
The expenditures are what they are. It is the money going out the door. And it's hard to tell now if we will need to do a budget extension because of the staff that we've added. I just can't right now tell you which program, which hire has pushed it over.
Got it. Got it.
And if 100% is it over just because of the timing of journal entries that I haven't made yet.
Yep.
For our annual.
And just another point of clarification that I think can be helpful is when we talk about payroll with encumbrances, that means that we have already planned for payroll for the entirety of the year. So it does not mean that in January we are at 100% of our budget for payroll. So really the number, as I understand it, that we're looking at is a 0.62% over.
Correct.
That may not actually be over, but
Depending-
may
yeah,
be. And it may be just that we have more students, so we needed more teachers, so we hired some more.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
So the next line, the red line on this graph is our 24-25 expense, and it's jumped way above the trend. There's a handful of things that have caused that. We've purchased curriculum this year, which we don't purchase every year. We had iReady for 4th and 5th grade. We had Big Idea, which is 612. It's like a digital textbook, which we purchased, which is on a 6-year cycle. We made both of those purchases. We have a fuel billing this time in this first quarter that we didn't have last year. And we also had a significant settlement that's showing up here as well. Legal settlement. So the next graph here is the bar chart, which breaks it down by the type of expense. Christy, if you can go to the next slide. So you can see our certificated salaries is roughly the same as last year. Classified salaries is roughly the same, slightly higher. Employee benefits lines up. That supplies line, and then the service lines that jump up are the blend of those curriculum purchases and the settlement costs. And that's really where you're seeing the major difference that's kicking us out of that normal. We're so consistent year over year, that's minor change that really makes our graph hop up. It should fall back in line as we move forward past those events because they won't be reoccurring for the rest of the year. Our fund balance, again, I spoke to this when you last saw this in October that it was going to come down because we hadn't quite paid insurance. And then the other items that I've spoken has dropped our fund balance down. It's still very healthy at 20%. And with our increased enrollment, that's probably going to spike up higher than we had seen in the past because of that influx of cash we're going to get for the catch-up payment from September to January. This is the statutory required budget status report. This is by statute what we have to present. We obviously present a lot more information than that. Other funds, we're starting to spend some capital funds more regularly than we have in the past. Mr. Peacock has been busy using levy funds to do a lot of upgrades to HVAC and other systems around the district. So it's nice to have him on board to get some of that stuff taken care of, and then our normal tech levy technology purchases. Everything else is just bumping right along as usual, and nothing out of the ordinary. So with that, I could field any questions you guys have.
I know we've talked about the transportation vehicle fund in the past. Can you remind us what the next steps are for bus acquisitions?
So we're right now in the process, the grant process for another electric bus. That's the next one that's queued up to be purchased. We were just actually talking this afternoon with Mr. Peacock about getting the charging infrastructure installed for it. This grant's slightly different in that the manufacturer is doing the heavy lifting of the grant portion and we'll pay the difference. That bus is a ways off, but that's the next item on the horizon is another electric bus. We've been looking at the fleet. Everything's still on the depreciation schedule. Not to get too deep into TVF, we get funding for our buses based on a depreciation amount each year for each bus. So it's prudent for us to make sure that our buses are all on the depreciation schedule, because as soon as they fall off, they're effectively worthless. And that they still may run, but we're not earning money from the state for them. So we keep a real close eye to make sure we replace buses just as they're falling off this schedule. But you want to make sure you time that correctly so you can't buy 5 buses in a year. The manufacturers just don't have them available. So we're watching that closely. As lately we've been buying electric buses. So that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Field. As Dr. Moshe is not here, we do not have a superintendent's report unless you have anything else to add. No. Board comments and report.
Yeah, I'd like to just update the community about a few things that have happened in January. Several of us, including our student representatives and 3 voting board members and our superintendent, went to the WASDA WASA WASBO Legislative Conference in SeaTac. That was the weekend of January 11th and 12th. And we spent Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning learning about what WASDA, the Washington State School Directors Association, and WASA, the Washington Association of School Administrators, and WASBO, the Washington Association of School Business Officers, have coined their big three legislative positions that we as a district can help advocate for, in addition to advocating for our own issues that are of particular interest here. But they are special education funding, making sure that that is more adequately funded across the state, materials, supplies, and operating costs, or MSOC funding, which is everything from, well, you saw the line item for materials on our budget that we just looked at, everything from insurance to class papers and all the various accessories of learning that aren't covered by those capital projects of technology and facilities. And then finally, transportation for students, making sure that every district can get the students to school so that they can learn. There's a 4th priority, which the WASDA board also adopted, which is asking the legislature to update our outdated prototypical school funding model. And that is an ongoing request that we tend to repeat year after year, that the model is outdated and it no longer serves Washington's schools and students. So we'll keep you updated as the legislative session goes along. And it's likely that at least some of us up here will be traveling to Olympia to lobby in person with our 3 district representatives, 2 representatives, Mr. Clyde Shavers and Mr. Dave Paul, and a Senator, Mr. Ron Mazzal. Thank you. And then I also just wanted to express a curiosity, which I don't expect an answer tonight, but maybe at a future board meeting, there might be an update from, perhaps from Mr. Peacock, but what is the impact of cold weather on the range of our electric bus? And is this cold snap challenging the electric bus, or is it performing well? So if that's a question that we might explore another time, I'd appreciate that. And then finally, I just want to restate my gratitude to so many members of our community who participated in our superintendent search process, and to the candidates and to our finalists who gave a great deal of time and energy to being with us and getting to know us, and to everyone who participated in exploring their candidacy and sharing their reflections with the board of directors, and helping us make a well-informed decision. So I'm grateful and excited for this next chapter.
I don't know that I could have said that any better besides I agree. One other emphasis that I have is making sure we have transition to kindergarten funded, because I know that's something that has really been of value to this district and is in danger. To an earlier public comment, just since we have an opportunity to comment ourselves, this board has in the past stated that we have no current plans to sell off any of our property. If that changes, we would make a decision at the time, but that is what we have stated in public a number of times. Yeah. Anything else from any board members? Thank you very much. Good night. This meeting is adjourned.